We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what he say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like a chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. You find the keys,
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixes cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the night, holding on for life. Holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get a few. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the light, chasing the light, chasing the light.
We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't. Oh, I'll be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Can be lifting you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the RCI TV channel. We're bringing you round 2 of the multi-class GT series here at RCI TV. My name is Ryan Gill. I will be your broadcaster and lead commentator for tonight. And joining me for round 2, a very, very wet Kyalami, is Paul Glover.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. Glad to be back for round 2. After the first round, I'm very excited. And obviously, as you just pointed out there, a little bit of rain to mix things up a little bit tonight. So hopefully we have a wet race. It'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be interesting to see how all the cars handle the wet weather. But joining us in the commentary box for round 2 as well will be all the way from the States, Nick Setnick.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to RCI TV. We are here bringing you round 2 of the Thursday multi-class championship. It is going to be a wet race at Kyalami today, and I'm looking forward to the slip and sliding mix up between the two classes, and I think it's going to make a fun dynamic for the viewers.
Yeah, so of course this is going to be the first time, well, that we have seen a multi-class race in ACC in the wet. And of course we did have the race at Misano just last week. It was Sami Brahimi took the win there at Misano for the GT3s, and of course James Parker fairly dominant in the Porsche Cayman for the GT4s as well. We have just over 5 minutes of practice remaining here in the wet, and as you can actually see by the weather forecast up at the top, the weather has been getting better and better throughout the course of the practice session. The rain has lessened, and of course at some point the track would be expected to dry out. We'll be jumping to qualifying it though in just a few minutes, and of course it'll be interesting to see if this weather does continue into qualifying. But well, regarding that, Kyalami, very interesting track. We were here for the Friday Championship last Friday, and we will be tomorrow actually for the Silver and Rookie class. But of course, this is a circuit which is not entirely, well, should we say, easy to drive in the dry, never mind the wet, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a fun track to watch. We actually just got to watch a race here last week, and yeah, I mean, adding the rain here just adds a huge amount of dynamic. I mean, we've seen races here are tight and fast, and the overtakes can be a little dangerous here. And even the drivers have to survive the track itself. I mean, that's just the personality of Kyalami. So adding the rain adds this dynamic to it. But I do want to say that from what I've seen, there's certain drivers that just love driving in the rain. There's certain drivers that kind of grab advantage from the rain because it lets them drive a little more loose, and it lets them take the corners. And like it rewards the drivers that are willing to push themselves and you know, find those lines through the corners that might be you know, a little scary for the other drivers that maybe aren't as comfortable in the rain as these rain preferring drivers. So I think that's going to add a huge dynamic to this race.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a fan of the wet. I think it's because I'm generally slow in the dry, so the wet gives me some kind of opportunity. But you know, we've got 16 corners here at Kyalami, which is, you know, same amount of corners that you had in the first round at Misano. So but here, you know, there are some really important corners. If you lose momentum, you know, unfortunately your speed is sacrificed, and there's going to be some overtaking. The wet, it's definitely going to add an extra element. I mean, the drivers are going to want to stay away from the curbs. There are a couple of corners here, like there are at every track, where using the curbs, you know, allows you to use more of the track and to take a faster line. But with the wet, obviously there are some curbs that you want to stay. As we're watching Yardier at the moment, his the quickest during free practice were 1:49. You know, the guys are, as been already said, the weather is changing, so the track's obviously getting a little bit better for the drivers. We were seeing 150s, so we've seen a second up already, and with the dry weather looking likely to come, one that we're qualifying will be a dry session, unlike practice, as Yardier gets the rear end out a little bit. So yeah, the weather's going to add an extra element and challenge, and you know, seeing the GT4s as well. I haven't seen them in the wet yet, so this could be hella fun.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. We can pretty much guarantee you that. We are a bit short on GT4s at the moment as we come towards the end of practice. So yeah, it's kind of strange, isn't it, that we were a bit short on the GT4s last week, and of course we seem to be a bit short on them today, this week as well. But hopefully people maybe just being, you know, not able to join in practice should be joining in qualifying. So hopefully the GT4 grid will start to fill itself up once qualifying rolls over. But we do have 20 GT3 cars in the field tonight, so that itself is going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. The as we've been following along board with Jardier, who actually wasn't able to participate in the first round of this championship, placing some impressive times in the rain. So that is him coming in screaming on round 2. Currently with 0 points, our points leader in the GT3 class being Samir Ibrahimi currently. Who is also just a little bit further back, 6/10, but I mean, this is in free practice. They're just throwing the cars around the circuit, getting used to the amount of rain, and trying to make those dry lines appear and see where they can kind of put those cars. But I mean, like, there is so much talent on this grid. I mean, these names in GT3 and the GT4 class are just absolutely stacked. So the skill is there, and it's just about them getting comfortable with the track, the amount of rain that they're dealing with, and we'll see how that shakes out in qualify here.
Yeah, this track's got quite a few dips, a bit, very similar to Spa, where I'd imagine there are, not that I've driven this track in the wet, but I imagine there are pockets of standing water, and when you hit those at speed, you don't really have much chance to keep the car on the track. So you have to do wet running, practice offline in the wet. There was an event in SRO that I helped on, and the drivers complained that it was a wet race, but the answer from the organisers was, you have to practice in the wet. You can't just expect every track to be dry, and practicing in the wet allows you to understand where the standing water will always gather in the same part of the track. As we watch Ibrahimi giving a slower car a bit of a flash there as he gets past. I'm surprised. I'm losing my words. Sorry. Just trying to think how much wet practice the drivers would have actually done. And by the looks of it, quite a bit, because the pace is good.
Yeah, a few people do seem to be struggling in the wet, though, that's for sure. I mean, some of the drivers that I would expect to be a bit further up the field, of course, not having a great time. I mean, 3 cars actually, that are probably not going to have a great time if it does end up being wet for both qualifying and the race, are going to be the Lamborghinis. Of course, we saw Ismail Lebrec with a wonderful pit stop strategy at Misano to take a podium, completely from under everyone's noses, as we are fast forwarded to qualifying, and it is dry, in fact, for qualifying.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
So a bit we are maybe spoiled for qualifying, but who knows, maybe the race will present something anew. But of course, with the qualifying format we have at the moment, the GT4s are the first ones out on track.
So yeah, many would have spotted that the fastest man in that practice session was Mr. Parker, who was the winner of the GT4s last time out. So I think I'm confidently going to say that he's probably going to be top of the timetable again. Mr. Parker from Coach Dave Academy in the Porsche there. So and he's the first man out.
So, of course, James Parker, the man to beat right now in the GT4 class. And funny enough, isn't it, the man that was giving him pressure at Misano, Bruno Kadili, South African for the White Rabbit Gaming esports team, he is following him out. It's going to be interesting to see what the lines that the Cayman takes around this kind of circuit, especially out here in the dry. And James Parker was actually telling a few people in the chat before this race that the Cayman doesn't have a great BOP around here, and it does tend to struggle. Of course, didn't stop him from going very well in practice, but of course, practice is only half the story, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he does now in qualifying.
Yeah, Parker has found incredible pace in that Cayman. He won the GT4 split last week, and be interesting to see how he does here at Kyalami with a dry qualify. That's all the drivers have to switch off their current setups, and they had to grab their dry setups. So this is actually going to be a quick little test for the drivers, making sure that they always have that dry setup in their pocket, so they can switch to it in case this happens. I mean, the weather randomness can kind of throw certain drivers for a loop if they're not prepared for it. So we'll see how the drivers are kind of reacting to that. We're actually going to ride on board with Kadili in that 788 Aston from White Rabbit Gaming. He's going to be setting his first lap here, coming down the main straight, going into turn 1, hoping for a good time here.
Yeah. So turn 1, which is Crowthorne, apparently. I'll be honest. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really know much about Kyalami until it was in ACC. That's probably a little bit ignorance on my side, but it's going into Jijiki Sweep, and then the left-hander is barbecuing. I find that section pretty tricky, but you can use quite a lot of the inside and outside of the curve. It's a long run down to the next right-hander, which I believe is Sunset into the right-hand side. You can kind of hug it quite nicely on the right. Move out to the left, but you've got to quickly get over for the next left-hander, which is Clubhouse. And then the next session, I believe, is called the S's. Not that I have a track map in front of me or anything. So, but again, this is a tricky corner here. If you kind of take too much entry speed, you ruin the exit on this particular section, and then it's uphill at that point, and the car is needs that momentum to make that hill, and then into the sharp left-hander, which is corner at number 10, and down the hill. So Kadahili, running well already, and doesn't seem to have made too many mistakes. He's using most of the track, and into the sweep-in left-hander, sticks nicely to the curb on the inside, and then goes over. And on this right-hand side here, you've got to get right over, and he's kind of missed the apex a little bit there, and unfortunately has scrubbed off a bit of exit speed. And in the right-hander, watch the inside curve, over to the left a little bit, not too far obviously for the track limits, move over to the right into the final corner. Not a bad lap. I think he's missed one apex there from what I saw, but probably needs to lose a little bit more of the exit on the last corner too.
So Bruno Cadilli will set the first time of the GT4s. It'll be a 151.342 for the South African on home turf. That'll be followed by James Parker just within a tenth of a second. Billy Octane and Joe McCauley will also cross the line. They're going to be 2 tenths and 3.5 tenths off respectively. Valentin Barrier in the lone Ginetta here today. He will go 5th for the GT4s, and then Jerome Remmers well off the pace in the GT4 grid. I can only assume there was a mistake in that lap, and the same for the likes of Svensson.
Yeah, absolutely. Kadili's setting that fastest pace. I mean, that's got to be setting Parker up. I mean, they have time to set at least a couple more here, but Kadili really using that home field advantage in that Aston, was very comfortable around the track, it seems, and was just ready for it to be in the dry. I think he saw a huge opportunity there. He's most likely put more laps down in the dry versus the wet, just because the wet is just so unpredictable. So with another lap here, fix those tiny little mistakes and set an even faster lap, and I think we might be looking at our pole sitter for GT4.
Yeah, he's I mean, what's interesting there is that dry pace is kind of what the wet pace was of the GT3s, isn't it?
It is, in fact. When we had was it medium to heavy rain, the GT3s setting about the 150, low 150s to actually no, it's high 150s to low 51s. Yeah, sorry. And these GT4s obviously being able to replicate those times, but in the dry. So of course these cars are around about 10 seconds a lap slower, I think, around here at Kyalami. James Parker will actually go top provisional pole at the moment by 1.5 tenths to the likes of Bruno Cadilli. Cadilli did improve his lap time, but obviously not enough to fight against the likes of James Parker in the Coach Dave Academy Porsche Cayman. And obviously for all the talking that James Parker has done about the fact that this car doesn't have a great BOP around here and it won't be too good come qualifying, he seems to be doing a pretty good job. And from what I've spoken to James Parker in the past on a different number of occasions, complaints that he's had about the car that he's driving, I'm pretty sure I'm going to stop believing everything he says.
But I was going to say he's probably just a bit like the boy who cried wolf, isn't it? Or somebody who goes, you play them at pool or snooker, and then they're absolutely awful, and they go, oh, do you want to have a bet? And then they turn out to be, an amazing player. So it could be a poker kind of thing from Mr. Parker.
Yeah, I mean, James Parker has incredible pace, as he's shown time and time again from Coach Dave Academy. Obviously probably has a pretty solid setup, I would wager. We're actually going to be on board here with Joe McCooley in
Nearly
the
half a second up on
Mercedes.
his fastest time. He's half a second up at the moment. So if he
Yeah,
keeps
definitely.
that up,
Having that,
it could take pole.
it could happen here. Actually, the Mercedes in the GT4 seems to be really solid with Billy Octane in the distance there in the Chevy. You know, so I love the variety in the GT4 class. I think it just there's so many options. There's so many solid options. They all kind of have their personalities, their quirks, and the drivers are really learning that more and more as we get further into GT4 being released here. You know, we're not even a month out just yet, and I mean, we've seen incredible pace out of the GT4 cars, and they seem to be honestly pretty even across the board, as McCooley's going to come across the line and take pole position with a 150.721, which is just going to be a hair faster than James Parker's last lap, but we'll see how that shakes out for the one or two more laps that might be taken here.
Well, so he's not going to be setting any faster laps. So it's between McCauley and Mr. Parker if they can both get another lap in.
Excellent.
Yeah, so James Parker at the moment sits second in the GT4 qualifying, and of course Joe McCauley setting the pace so far in the Mercedes. Like Nick said, this has been a solid car for a number of tracks here now, and of course the Mercedes looking to do well here again.
The guys at the back, you know, Barrier and Remmers have, you know, brought their time down, so now we're under 2 seconds behind McCauley, who's currently leading the way.
Top three, though, split by just over a tenth of a second, so obviously not too much between them in terms of qualifying pace right now. Joe McCauley not up on his lap time, and James Parker is not actually up on his lap time either, so doesn't look like they're going to be improving immediately. And Eric Engman, actually, who was someone who wasn't here for the first round, he unfortunately had to sign out. He's put himself into 5th. Only 8 GT4s on the grid for today's race. We had, I think we had 9 or 10 it was, for the first round at Misano. It's the Pro class has actually been fairly difficult to field for GT4s, surprisingly. Obviously, considering all the hype around the GT4s, and obviously we know Thursdays isn't a great day for racing. It's not very popular with a lot of people, but it's a bit of a shame that we've seen the GT4 numbers struggle a bit here in the Pro class.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of the pro drivers, you know, they are just comfortable with their GT3 picks. They have their setups, they have their lines, and you know, jumping to a new car, an entire new class, even for these top-level drivers, is a huge undertaking. And you know, so it's the brave few, it seems, that have made the jump over to GT4 and really seeing what they can do here.
We're watching Barrier, who's currently now second up on his round. Oh, and he's gone. Unfortunately, went a little bit wide there and lost all that time in the number 72 car. Yeah, that's a shame. In the Ginetta there, I was watching the times and he was looking good, and then he unfortunately was going a little bit too fast there.
It looks like he just cut it loose a little bit. There is Billy Octane pulling in for the remaining of his lap. I believe we're not going to cut him off from this lap, so if he can set this one and be up on his time, he's actually up just about a 10th, which is not quite enough to jump him up to 3rd position currently, as he's down about 5 tenths. Sorry, about 4 tenths off of Dealey, so this would be a little bit of a time improvement, but not quite enough to get him up onto the podium.
Currently, Remmers, who's currently in 8th, is 3 tenths up at the moment on his current lap, and he might get 7th. It's very, very close at the moment, because his fastest is a 152.4, and then next up is 151.9. But the man ahead of him, Mr. Valentin Barrier, is also a little bit up on his best time as well. So it's tight at both ends of the GT4s.
So it is, and you can actually hear the GT3s. They are out on track. They are making their way round on their warm-up lap to start their qualifying. And actually, we do enter the GT3 qualifying as I say that. I'm looking down at the moment, and the first GT3 on track to try and set a lap is going to be Adrian Probst, the number 9 Porsche 911 GT3R Mark II. And of course, this car had a few adventures, didn't it, in the first race at Misano, and you know, unfortunately, it wasn't a great race for some of these for some of the guys that we're going to be talking about here today, and this car was definitely caught up in a few incidents, wasn't he, Paul?
Yeah, he was, but you know, he also as he loses the rear end there and into the barrier he goes. Yeah, he had quite an eventful race, but you know, he finished third last time out, which is still a strong result. But he was battling for pole, and towards the end of the race, unfortunately, his strategy didn't really pay dividends for him. And now, not a great start to his qualified session as he lights up the rear end and away it goes. So maybe wants to just tweak the traction control just a little bit, just give him a little bit more control as he's coming out there and not lighting up those rear tyres. As we're watching Mr. Mooney in the number 11 Porsche GT3. Just a point I like to make about the lack of GT4s. That will please the GT3 drivers because less traffic to deal with.
It will, but I mean, Bruno Cadilli actually.
I completely, you know, but you know, we should have 16 of them, and or maybe more than that actually. But yeah, it's a shame. But the GT3s won't mind.
No, the GT3s won't. Well, I mean, I say they won't mind. I mean, the whole reason a lot of these guys have signed up to a multi-class event is obviously to get some multi-class action here in ACC. Yeah. As Mooney will actually set the first time of qualifying for the GT3 class. He'll set a 142.279 and go provisional pole. But yeah, no, there's you know, a lot of these guys will have been looking forward to the multi-class racing. I think it will disappoint them to a degree, not having as many GT4s on the grid as maybe they would have hoped to have seen. But of course, on some of the smaller circuits that we have, not saying that Kyalami is small by any means at all, it definitely isn't. But, you know, if we go to circuits like, say, for example, Zolder, which is on the calendar for this this series, you know, we could potentially still be picking up some GT4 entries in the pro class. I have decided as the administrator for this series that, you know, if anyone out there thinks they have the pro pace and they want to come and join the GT4s, they are more than welcome to do so. The GT4s are still open for sign-ups because we want to get more GT4s on the grid here for this. So if you're watching at home and you think you fancy a crack at some of this in the pro class, definitely do get into contact with me on the RCI Discord. But at some of the tracks like Zolder, I think they'll be very, very glad that the GT4 grid isn't as big as it is in the AM class, by the way. And if you're wondering about the AM class is full. 25 GT3s and 25 GT4s.
As Mr. Props, who had his moment, is on his way round. He's currently in 25th, and he's a little bit up on his time. As we're looking at number 2 man, the winner last time out, Mr. Ibrahimi. Currently, where is he on the list? He's currently in 2nd. That's where he is. Looking in the right place. Currently up on his fastest time, but the man behind him, Ismail Lebrick, he's also 3 tenths up now on his fastest lap. So it might, depending on the time Mr. Ibrahimi sets on this lap at the moment, he might be pushed down into 3rd. It's exciting how close these guys are at the moment, Mr. Brecken. And to be fair, I mean, you pointed out a little bit ago, you know, he had a great race last time out. I think surprised everybody with that podium finish. And he's just gone first. There we go, a 141, a low 141 as well, nearly a 140 there. So, but he was impressive last time out in that Lambo.
Yeah, absolutely. But I got to throw it to Jarde, who wasn't here for round 1, just consistently setting those consistent laps here. You know, at the top, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that the like of Jarde would be at the front of the grid, but I mean, there's a lot of competition for the top now between Lebrick and Props currently running on board with Jarde right now. He's actually going to go a little bit side by side into that corner, trying to set this hot lap here. And get that pace going. Actually, he's going to pull over and end that one just because that line might have been just a little off for him. Jumping over to Takamaki, actually, who is was a 2nd down on his current time under Probst, but trying to find how much time he's up currently.
400's up at the moment. Nearly half a second up on his best time. Now he's half a second up. So,
Excellent. So this could actually shake out to him being up on the podium currently, with a few more laps come down the line here.
yeah, Justin Harkemper just moved up to 5th. He had a solid race out last time as well, didn't he, Harkemper, in the Audi?
Yeah, Hart Kemper, I think, finished 9th. It was in the GT3.
Yeah, he had. I mean, the finish wasn't great, but he had some really good battles out on track in round 1. So, as we're looking at Tinko van der Velde, car number 66, another Porsche. It's currently in 12th position, and he's nearly a second up on his best time. He's just lost a little bit there. His best time currently is a 1:42.4. So potentially about to hit the 1:41s if this keeps this up, and that will probably push him, probably to about 8th if he makes that.
Yeah, and something you were mentioning before that, of course, Ismail Lebrec had an absolutely fantastic strategy at the likes of Misano and managed to bag himself a podium as we wait for Tinko van der Velde to cross the line here. It's important to remember that the Lamborghini runs very well here, as Tinko van der Velde will go 5th in the qualifying standings at the moment, just ahead of Takamaki in the 2nd of the Lamborghinis. This track does suit the Lamborghini. It really, really does, and one of the things I was saying earlier in practice, the Lamborghinis will be praying that it does not rain. That car is a handful in the wet. And, you really don't want it to rain, because if it does, your race is almost a write-off from the start. So, they're going to be hoping that it stays dry. A lot of these other guys probably going to hope that it maybe start dry, go into wet or something towards the end of the race. Of course, we do have changing conditions here this weekend at Kyalami, and of course we did see the rain in practice, so we know it's hovering around the circuit, we know it is here, and of course in about 3 minutes time we're probably going to see if it will show up in the race. But it is Adrian Probst who is provisional pole sitter at the moment, the only man in the 140s with a 140.905. Ismail Lebrec in 2nd for qualifying at the moment, a 10th and a half off, but look how close it is between the top 4.
It's very, very close. As I was watching him, Mr. Harry Conway pushed up to 12th position. He gained a bit of time, about half a second on his best. As Mikael Sundstrom as well, currently in 15 in car 899. He's half a second up as well. There's time. It's just changing all the time. We've just under 2 minutes to go because the track is rubbering in, and there isn't a whole field of cars on this track as well, so it's allowing them to find that space to better their times, and everybody's going half a second, 300 of a second up as he comes to cross the line. And where does he find himself? Gains 2 positions. He puts himself in 13th.
Yeah, these incredible amount of pace here, but the real split is up near the top 10. Currently the top 12 positions all within a second of each other, with Probst holding on to that 140.9, actually the only one in the 140 range currently. But I would not be surprised to see a few people challenge him for that. Jardet has been trying to put down those hot laps and work for that time. We're currently on board with Frederick, who hasn't quite found time this lap around, but is probably just racing towards the line to try to grab one more. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it. Well, I mean, he should be able to make it from the time that he has, and should be setting a little bit more of a time. Actually, nobody from my screen is actually currently up on their time. Van der Velde,
and Yardia as well. It keeps flicking a little bit of time up, and it's so minute. And also, I was watching the Breck as well. Sometimes he was up and then just losing a bit of time, and so anything's possible, I think, at the moment as we're watching. The man himself, Yardia, is currently in 2nd. He's 10th up at the moment as he comes in towards the downhill section. And, you can really, if you get that exit spot on, he's gone right over the right-hand side. He's using all the track. Now he wants to cut it onto the left, hug that inside, stick to it nicely, and then get over to the left as quickly as possible to make this corner short. And it's all about the exit here. It's all about the exit. And as we head towards the corner of death, as I call it, if you hit that inside curb, you know about it. You end up in another continent and then over to the right-hand side for the final left-hander. And he's nearly half a second up at the moment. So I think he's about to take pole.
Jody will come towards the line and he will go pole. A 140.656 for Jardia will put him 2.5 tenths above Probst for pole position. And looking down the field at the moment, there is no one on a hot lap at the moment that is going to be quick enough to change that. In fact, yes, Samir Brahimi's lap has finished. In fact, Ismail Lebrec is still on a lap, but he's not up at the moment by any time at all, and he needs to make up, well, exactly 0.4 of a second if he wants to take pole position. But I think the Lamborghini driver, who pulled off a very good strategy at Misano, will probably be happy with top 5 at the moment in this GT3 class, maybe looking to pull off a similar strategy to what he did 1 week ago. He will come into the final corner. He's a 10th down on his time. He will gain a bit of time through the last corner, but it won't be enough to make up the time difference, and he will cross the line.
The only man going quick at the moment is the man you just cut to, Fredazindi. Sorry, I don't know how you pronounce that. Car number 3. And he gains a little bit of time and finds himself now in 19th position. So yeah, that's a great qualifying session, guys. I mean, it's so tight, as you were saying, the top. But with Yardier's final lap, though, it kind of opened that up just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jardier is showing that pace all the way through practice, even in the pouring rain, and then we had dry conditions for qualify, which was a bit of a shakeup. But Jardier is still holding on to that incredible pace. And was able to secure pole position in the GT3 class. Just an awesome lap set down by Jardia there.
Yep, so of course with qualifying done, we will wait for the session to tick over, and of course whilst we wait for the session to tick over, we will give you a look at the championship standings after round 1. Of course, if you were here for last week, well, nothing much will have changed, actually. There are a couple of people that have moved up and down places due to the new penalty system that we are using in the Thursday Championship. But, you know, most of the results that you see here, of course, will be as they were last week at Misano. So for the GT3 class, Samir Brahimi leads the way, 58 points. Ismail Lebrec with that incredible strategy that we've mentioned time and time again so far. He's second in the championship. Probst and Mooney, 3rd and 4th. Friedrich in 5th. Stefan Zero, who's not here tonight in the Lexus, he's 6th in the championship. He'll be dropping down some places. Ossi Takamaki in the 2nd of the Lamborghinis is 7th in the championship right now. Marco Ripper, Hart Kemper and Lemke round out the top 10 for the GT3s. Moving on to the second page, Ulrich, Conway and Pedrozzini are 11th, 12th and 13th. Helman and Sundstrom will round out the top 15. And the last of the points finishers from a week ago is Lindholm, Varga and Martin Schumacher. And Guglia and Lubomir Zeman, also with a few other drivers, didn't race last week. So, of course, they have 0 points.
Well, the weather gods have not been kind to the Lamborghinis, have they?
Well, we'll get onto that just quickly as I run through the rest of the standings.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm very sorry.
Paul has given you a little glimpse as to what the conditions might be at the moment on track. But regardless, the GT4s, we'll quickly have a run through them. James Barker leads the way, followed by Bruno Cadili, Joe McCauley, Billy Octane, and Vicky Thompson. Vicky obviously not here tonight, unfortunately, so she will be dropping some places in the standing. And for the rest of the GT4 grid, a few people not showing up tonight, unfortunately, but it is Geraint Remmers, Nicholas Rage, Joachim Svensson, Brock McDood, and Michael Springer that round out the top 10. 5 no-point scorers for the championship last week out. Daniel Bradford, Dustin Vuss, Sebastian Zayak, Ricardo Claro, and Eric Engman. In fact, Dustin Vust is actually a sign-out for the championship. He did inform us that he wouldn't be able to continue the championship, unfortunately. But obviously the likes of Sebastian Zayak, Ricardo Claro, Daniel Bradford and Eric Engman were not present last week. And in fact, of those 4 names, I believe Eric Engman is the only one here today of those 4 that didn't show up last week. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to be going on there. We'll have to have a bit of a look into behind the scenes as to why people are not showing up for the rest of the championship. But regardless, we head back to the live scenes at the track here, and it's raining, Paul.
Yes, and just you were saying at the just towards the end of the qualifying, this is not what the Lamborghinis want because it's a bit of a dog in the wet, and it's not just raining, my friends. It's thunder. It's the ever-present thunder in ACC, and we're and you can see it's rained for quite a bit of time as well. There might be a bit of dry coming towards the end of the session. The race is, an hour and 15 minutes. What do you do now? What setup would you load, guys? Would you go for a wet setup, or would you go for a dry setup in the hope that it would dry and you'd have a bit more pace towards the end of the race? This is what decisions that these drivers now need to make.
I mean, me personally, if I didn't have a wet setup ready for this race, I'm slapping on the default wet. I'm increasing the tire pressures by as much as I can, and I'm hoping that that'll do me for the rest of the race. If you do have a wet setup, though, obviously that will play well into your favour. But as you said, Paul, if you look up in the top right corner, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the weather forecast for the next 30 minutes. And of course, we are in monsoon conditions at the moment, and it is expected to get lighter in just about 10 minutes' time. So that will be very favourable for the drivers, and you can continue to see that within the next 30 minutes, the rain will start to lighten up as well. So we are starting in very, very wet and treacherous conditions here, and it will get better as the race goes on. But of course, this opening 10 minutes is going to be so treacherous, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, surviving Crawthorne, I think, is going to be the mission statement from everybody going into lap one. I mean, just with the amount of water that's going to be on the track with these heavy conditions as they're sitting, waiting for the formation lap to start, this is just water collecting onto the track and no dry line formed yet. So it's just going to be kind of like a surf and turf going into Crawthorne. Up to barbecue, and I think that's just going to be more of a survival type of driving, hoping that the setups hold true, and also the people behind you. If you're Jardier right now, you've got a lot of cars in your rearview mirror that are just going to be, basically sliding right into your back if they're not paying attention. So this is. I'd be a little nervous going into Crawthorne here for lap one, but I mean, these are like super top level drivers. I expect a lot of professionalism here, and I think everybody wants to make it through the 75 minutes, even in these conditions. Even if it lightens up a little bit and they get that dry line going, they do have to get through the first section of the race.
They do, and they'll use the formation lap as a bit of opportunity to scout. But like I said before, during qualifying, if the drivers have done some wet practice offline, they will hopefully know where the standing water will be. Because if you hit that with the throttle down, you've got no chance. You have to lift off through those those points where you're aquaplaning. And as we saw when I was helping with an SRO event at Spa. There was a huge pile up after Eau Rouge, so and onto the Kemmel Strait. So it's going to be interesting this, and as you say, there's no dry line because there's not been any cars going around the track. But I think this is going to be Jardier's race because we saw the times that he was setting in the wet, and he was by far the quickest driver in the practice session. That's my prediction for this race tonight. And Mr. Parker, I think, again for the GT4s, but this is going to be interesting. And the first lap shenanigans, how do they treat it? Do they go all in, or do they go a little bit careful and hope that everybody behind is also doing the same? Because that's the risk, isn't it? If you go in on these conditions and you go a little bit too slow and no one else behind you is taking the same amount of caution, then you have an effect where one car is going faster than the other. And we're going to have a bit of carnage. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out for as the guys go around the formation lap.
My worries are going to go out to the GT4 class, actually, because, I mean, there's going to be so much spray up on the track. I mean, when the GT3 cars are ripping around the GT4s for these tight passes that Kyalami is famous for, I mean, just it's going to be a smoke screen. You know, trying to drive through that, also stay safe and keep their distance from each other. But I mean, vision's going to be a big thing as well with all the standing water. So that's another thing that the GT4 class has to worry about, along with, you know, not kind of doing the cartoon version of them kind of blowing off the track as the GT3s go by. You know, like it kicks up a wave and now they're in the grass because you know they're just half the size of the GT3 class.
Well, the second round of the championship has not disappointed in terms of the weather for the race. It was wet for practice, it was dry for qualifying, and if these drivers thought they were going to get away with an easy time in the race, well, the weather gods have said no to that one. We come towards the end of the formation lap now. Jardia leading the field around. It's going to be so interesting to see not only how they handle this race in these kind of conditions, which will be improving as the race goes on, but it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the GT4s as well. And I think it's going to be one of those cases of, you know, these guys learnt a lot last week in terms of a multi-class race and how they've got to behave with each other in traffic. They've got to behave even better this time out in these conditions. It's a case of let's help each other rather than hinder each other, especially with weather like this. It does no one any good to get in anyone's way and slow each other down. But as we come towards the final corner, we are ready for the second race of the multi-class GT series here at RCI TV. Strap yourself in. We have 75 minutes of racing. It's Jaroslav Honzik on pole. It's wet at Kyalami. And the lights are green, and it's a very slow start for the second place car of Adrian Props. He's going to get swamped by the Audi of Samit Brahimi and the Porsche of Tinko van der Velde. The Lamborghini of Ismail Lebrec has had a good start as well as they come down in towards turn 2.
Wow, good. As Yadier holds on to lead, but he's closely followed behind by another Porsche and the Audi. And then we got a bit of action behind. Lebrec is involved in that in the Lamborghini by looks of it, as he does a 360 to get back facing the right way. I can see that Mr. Parker, the leader of the GT4s, has managed to a few more cars there being collected as well. That's most unfortunate. And now these guys have got to make their way past GT4s in very treacherous conditions.
Yeah, there's now just a back half of the GT3 pack just kind of slipped and slid their way through Cawthorne up to Barbecue. This is exactly what I was talking about. You had to survive the first sector, and you know, a little mistake like that, you go sideways and you are just sliding because of just how much water is out on the track right now. Currently on board with Harry Conway right now, trying to fight for in the top 5, top 6, basically the second. The front half of the GT3 class that's kind of gotten through lap 1 respectively, and they'll be fighting for some positions, but trying to keep that distance because, you know, this is just getting into some tight packs here is going to prove to be dangerous.
Yeah, and you know, when you look at the start there and with the guy spinning at the back, Van der Velde has really taken advantage of that, currently up in 3rd position, and Ibrahim is also now up into 2nd. But he's already, you know, Yadier has already gained half a second on these guys as we look at Harry Conway, but also Kadir Healy is all over the back of Mr. Josh Parker. So it's there are some great battles as Harry Conway leads this. I was going to say trio, but it's more than that as the Lamborghini looks on the outside, but Conway's got the inside here at the moment for the left-hander. So this will be interesting. I think he'll probably have the apex, and that he does, but he's under a lot of pressure. He hasn't got the pace of the other guys. He's up in 6th position at the moment because of the incident at the start of the race.
Yeah, Takamaki's got to fight through all of that rain. The Lamborghini not happy about how much water is on the track. Was trying to fight through the first corner there, but Harry Conway's going to pull away just a little bit. And now Takamaki has to deal with the spray ahead of that as the train is coming down, and Harry Conway trying to get away from all of that noise.
Yep, so with the first lap well and truly over, and here we see Lubomir Zeman trying to get up the inside of the likes of Takamaki. Of course, we said Takamaki going to be struggling here in the wet. Bruno Cadili, of course, still, you know, pushing James Parker, and of course he will do well around here, being local to obviously South Africa. He will know this track a lot better than most of them, as we can see in the background. I think that's Hartkemper and likes of Lemke going side by side. Takamaki with a cutback here towards Zeman. Oh, and Marco Ripper as well, a slight touch with the Aston Martin. It's very, very tricky out here, of course. Some of these guys maybe not intending to touch with each other, but just the pace that they have and the lack of stability is, oh, there we can see Zeman having a bit of a tricky time, just touching the grass actually, and getting a bit out of control. And these guys, it's going to be like this for a while now. It's going to be so tricky to get that car stable.
Mr. Ripper making his feelings known as he was flashing his lights at the Aston Martin after that contest. I think he believes he wasn't at fault at that coming together, and it kind of set him back towards Mr. Hartkemper, as Mr. Zeman in the Aston Martin has managed to gain a bit of distance there if we come down the start-finish straight.
Definitely, we're on board with Hartkemper right now, still battling with the likes of Ripper ahead of him and Lemke in the 379 behind him, just trying to fight for that pace. But it looks like they've shaken out into a bit of a train here with Zeman, those darts in and out of position and trying to find those lines. It looked like it was starting to backfire very quickly, you know, trying to gain some positions. But I mean, you also have to just survive the rain. So that proved to be pretty dangerous, and he got the light flashes on him to kind of tell him that. Hartkemper going really wide here, trying to not throw his car into the Bentley next to him, as that would have not been great either. But yeah, these little touches in this much rain is just so dangerous, and you have to be so careful, even more so than usual.
Yeah, so we've got the likes of Guglia, who's currently he's in the Nissan Kano 18. He's just making his way back through the GT4 field, so he's trying to catch up to the back of the GT3s if he can. I mean, looking at the lap times are getting fast up at the top. You know, picking up the passes to the standing. The water is starting to clear as these guys make their way round and clear a bit of the standing water on the track. And it's still close here between Mr. Parker and Kadehili, and it's we've got flashing lights from the GT3. By the looks of it, he's not very happy. They're not letting him pass. So a little bit messy at the back here at the moment.
Yeah, that back half of the GT3 cars that went off track in the first sector of lap 1 have to fight their way back through the pack, and that we're already seeing that super early in the race, or earlier than they were expecting, that they have to fight through these GT4s, and that is just proving to be treacherous in these conditions.
As the Nissan of Mr. Guglia is in the pits, it's just got into the pits now. But I mean, the thing is, they don't have to let them pass. They can flash them all they want. They're not left, you know, they're not lapping them. So they can race with them if they really want to. In these conditions, the GT4s have a bit of a chance to hold them up.
So, of course, Jaroslav Honzik still leads the way at the front of the field, just under 7 minutes into this race. But Samir Brahimi, of course, the winner at Misano, he's not going to take this one lightly. The two Audis leading the way well at the moment. Tinko van der Velde are about 1.5 seconds off of these guys. And, of course, he's going to be looking to catch up with these. The Porsche goes well here. And, of course, it doesn't do too bad in the wet either as well. So, of course, Tinko van der Velde will be hoping that as the weather starts to improve, we move towards these kind of more mixed conditions, the Porsche will start to come into its own. But right now, it's all on Samir Brahimi to try and pressure Jardier into a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing some great pace at the moment. I would like to change my prediction, but he's showing some real pace though, which he didn't really know too much during practice. So, you know, anything can happen. But I just want to draw your attention to Mr. Parker coming in the GT4s. Kadehili is now 2.3 seconds off him. So something's happened there. I don't know what, but he's now gapped him. So giving him a little bit of breathing space there as he's leading the GT4 pack.
Yeah, so of course James Parker and Bruno Cadili, the two at the front in the GT4s, split a bit because of the GT3 traffic that is actually still making its way through the GT4s. I can see Pedrozzini having to try and make his way through as well, and I think there are a couple of others behind them, so yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle for some of these guys that had an off early on in the race, having to try and gain those places back, and of course try and salvage whatever they can from what will be a very, very tricky race. But of course, these kind of conditions, anything can happen. So of course, it's not entirely out of the question that someone who had an off at lap 1 could come back to have a really good finish towards the end of the race.
Definitely. I mean, we're currently on board with Jardy, who is currently our leader, with Ibrahimi not too far behind. We're actually going to ride on board and just see the vision issues that they must be experiencing. I mean, just the spray on the screen there. You know, it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to think about. You know, these are already top level drivers. You know, they're thinking about their pit strategy and try to maintain those lines. Just adds that extra layer of confusion maybe going into these lines, tucking up close. It's actually going to be really close for Ibrahimi, going a little bit wide there, but Jardy is going to pull out just a little bit. And this back and forth's been going on since the green light. I mean, this is and that's Jardy going super wide, actually going to lose it just a little bit, and Ibrahimi's going to take the outside line and hook into the last corner onto the main straight. Side by side again, Jardy's going to swing back again and maintain that momentum. Ibrahimi pulling away, just having the better speed out onto the main straight, just because Jardy lost so much speed, losing going into the last corner, grabbing a lot of grass there, going into Crawthorne here. Ibrahimi holding on at the front, and that is some incredible racing. We're going to get an instant replay. Jardy just losing it just into the grass just a little bit, but Ibrahimi was just ready to pounce and get in front of him going onto the main straight here.
Yeah, a great bit of driving between both of them. Great opportunistic moment there from Ibrahimi, and making the most of it. So now he's got to see if he can gap Jardy. We know how quick he is. He's won multiple races before. He's constantly streaming the events that he takes part in. He's so it's now about trying to build that gap, in very, very tricky conditions, as we've seen. So, Mr. Kadahili now is dropped down into third in the GT4s as well. So that's it. No, sorry, that's a GT3 in the way. Sorry, apologies. So Kadahili he's dropped back even further away from Mr. Parker. So if Mr. Parker can keep that up, I think that's another win on the cards for him. As we look at Ziman, coming in 8th position, car number 21. The lovely looking Aston Martin. Big fan of that car. He's on the heels of Mr. Ripper in the Mercedes. Lovely green colour there, as behind them, Mark Kepler's slightly outbraked himself. So we've got a 4 train here. We've got Takamaki, Ripper, Zeman, and Mark Kepler. This is great guys racing in great conditions with an hour and 3 minutes training.
Yeah, and you can actually see the Mercedes of Marco Ripper going side by side with the Lamborghini of Ossi Takamaki. He's going to have the inside line going into Cheetah. The Lamborghini will stay in front of the Mercedes, and he's going to have the inside line coming into Ingwe as well. But of course, that's going to compromise his exit speed because he can't run as wide as the Mercedes can. So of course, now Marco Ripper has the pace advantage on the straight line. The Lamborghini just struggles to get the power down in the wet conditions. The Mercedes well ahead before the braking zone. Oh, and contact there between Lubomir Zeman, and then contact again between the Lamborghini and the Aston Martin. I think it's all kind of evened itself out, but Zeman now under pressure from the likes of Mooney. Mooney will back off and forfeit the position, but a little bump and shove there from a couple of these drivers, and obviously not all of it intentional. With these tricky conditions, it can be hard sometimes to steer the car away from someone else, especially when you have so little time to react, and in conditions where the car doesn't entirely do what you're asking it to do. But at the moment, Takamaki doing an incredible job to hold on for as long as he is in these conditions. I
genuinely think what happened there is Takamaki was looking at Ripper rather than what was behind him, and that's what caused that little little instant there. So I think he was kind of reacting to what the Mercedes was doing. Oh, and again, oh, sorry, no, saying that, maybe he does need to look in his mirrors a bit more. As Takamaki again makes contact with the Aston Martin. This time he loses out and gets spun 360. But if we go cut to the replay there, you can see he's touching on the side. He spins round. But I think also the Aston went wide. I think it's just out of shot. Yeah, he went wide as well. So they both lose out in the end.
And we're going to jump back on board with Takamaki. Actually made a really clean recovery from that little incident there after being spun around Zeman. Pulling back a little bit, showing that the professionalism, knowing that he caused the contact from behind and kind of wanted to get that position back. They did lose some ground on the pack they were fighting in. As a reminder, we do have our live stewarding team in the box across the way from us. So they will be looking at incidents like that. I'm sure their plates will be plenty full tonight with work, just because the rain causes a lot of those little slip-ups that you wouldn't expect to cause problems, but in the rain it just magnifies how serious the issues can really be when there is contact out on the track.
So of course, Lumir Zeman is actually behind Takamaki again, so considering the fact that the 21 Aston Martin is now behind the Lamborghini, I'm willing to bet that Zeman has judged that he was probably guilty for the tap that he did give to Takamaki, and of course has given the place back. That's obviously cost both of them positions, but good to see the sportsmanship there from Zeman saying, look, my bad, didn't mean to maybe go into the back of you. And I think that's something maybe with like the Lamborghini especially, it's a car that you expect to be so good out of the corners onto the straights and stuff. But in these kind of conditions, it just struggles to get its power down, and it can be deceiving as to how slow the Lamborghini can be out of the corners sometimes. But Zeman is going to have another go. They come down mineshaft, and as they go towards the crocodiles now, Zeman's going to be on the inside. He's going to take the place. Takamaki just touching the grass a bit. He's going to have to back off. And the 21 Aston Martin is through.
Yeah, he took a different... Did you notice into that corner before the downhill section there? He took a slightly different line, which gave him a better exit than the Lamborghini got. It was a great bit of driving to set himself up for that move. And I get the feeling that Takamaki, unfortunately, is going to get swallowed up by more and more cars. As we discussed, the Lamborghini is not so great in these conditions, but hopeful in about next 10 minutes that the rain's going to start to ease a little bit. It might allow him to start coming back in this race, as he's under pressure from the Audi of Hartkamp at the moment, as we're looking at Sundstrom in the BMW, the only BMW in the race this evening, I believe, as per last week as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hartkamp putting on the pressure on Takamaki, who just seems to be losing ground step by step here. Took that blow there and has just been losing ground, so that is an unfortunate sight to see. Trying to keep as much ground as he can. Takamaki has great pace in this division, but Lamborghini really struggling with how much water is out on the track. Sundstrom looking at the back of Hartkamp right now, just kind of waiting for an opportunity as well. The BMW in the GT3 class, not the shining star of the class as we've seen. But again, Sundstrom has incredible pace and just kind of waiting for those mistakes, which is something that you expect from a race that is this wet and this treacherous. The skill really is about surviving the track and just getting the positions as they come, rather than fighting for it. We saw earlier Zeman, ripping into a corner, trying to take a little bit of a dive bomb approach, backfired almost immediately. So even with the amount of skill that these drivers have, just these treacherous conditions just really limit the options that you have. So really, it's just more of a waiting game than anything.
Yeah, a dive bombing, even in drive conditions, suddenly, always isn't necessarily going to work out, because you're expecting the other driver to know that you're coming. As we're on board with Sundstrom, but there's a car in the right-hand side. Didn't catch who that was. It was off. Is that the red Aston? Was it a red Aston? Didn't catch who that was.
It was a red Aston Martin.
There we go, Z-Man, and who who before that point I was going to comment and say once he got past that pack, he was showing some really good pace.
It's actually not Zeman.
Is it not?
No, Zeman is still in 8th position. Actually, that is one of the other Aston Martins, one of the other red Aston Martins that we have on the grid.
Who was that fell? That was in that. Here we go, Varga.
Joseph Varga. So
right.
the number 221, part of the Multi 21 racing team, and yeah, he's had an off. He's in fact all the way down in 29th, still behind the GT4s. He has come in and served his mandatory pit stop, as has Ismail Lebrec, Guglia, Guarda, and Mooney. So a few of the GT3s maybe caught up in those incidents early on, deciding to serve their mandatory pit stops early, get them out of the way. But of course,
and pray that it's going to continue raining, I guess, right?
Well, maybe, but if you look at the weather forecast in the top right, it is expected to get lighter. In fact, medium rain in 30 minutes. So, of course, the heavy rain, we're out of monsoon conditions, we're in heavy rain at the moment, and the heavy rain expected to fade in the next 30 minutes. We'll be moving to medium rain conditions, so it is starting to lighten up as we did anticipate and predict it would earlier.
Yeah, jumping back on board with Takamaki here, just currently under fire from Hartcamper, who's actually going to eat the sausage a bit there and get kicked around. So Takamaki able to escape that particular move. But here's Sundstrom coming up the inside in the 899 BMW, trying to go side by side with Hartcamper up the main straight here. And Takamaki gets to see this show from his rearview mirror, at least what he can see past all of the spray. This is Hartcamper and Sundstrom going side by side into Crawthorne. And Sundstrom's going to actually fake out of that just a little bit and try to punch through with an early break. A little bit of a contact onto Hartcamper, but he's going to maintain the inside line going into Barbecue and try to pull ahead of this BMW, who just can't quite get the speed. It looks like even with the inside line, Hartcamper's going to pull away again. And just a little show from the back of Takamaki's Lamborghini.
So it looks like we've had a penalty given to car number 1, Prosps, 15 seconds, apparently taking out car 11. And also car 11, 5 seconds for dive bomb and forceful overtake as well. So yeah, a couple of penalties being handed out by the stewards there.
Yeah, looking down the list, car 11 is actually Raymond Mooney, one of the Porsches. Porsche finished 4th, actually, in last week's race. So, of course, he had contact with the number 1, it seems, on the opening lap. And then, of course, he then himself proceeded to forcefully overtake someone. And, well, the punt to pass button is a button that does exist on the wheel for some of these drivers, but it's very much not allowed here at RCI. And we do penalise people that use it. And, of course, you know, Mooney, unfortunately, being judged to be guilty there. I mean, a 5-second penalty, I would imagine that the overtake wasn't too forceful for a 5-second penalty. I mean, obviously forceful enough that it was considered unfair. But it obviously wasn't deserved enough for a 15-second or a drive-through. So obviously, maybe just a slight bump, nudge someone out the way, force them to go wide and get past. But of course, we do penalise that here at RCI. And in fact, I think some of the GT3s that haven't been fighting with the GT4s will be starting to encounter the lap traffic.
Yeah, so I'll be interested to see how Mr. Prost thinks about that 15-second penalty. But we're looking at the race leader, Ibrahimi. He's gapped Mr. Tiardier, another Audi, car 39, 2.3 seconds. A nice little healthy bit of lead there. But I can see the Van der Velde in 4th position is very close to Frederich, who's currently in 3rd. So there might be a little bit of a battle about to take place there for the final podium position. But, oh, no, the gap has increased just a little bit as we look at Mr. Valentin Barrier in the... I've forgotten the name of the car. Sorry, Ginetta. Just had a moment there, and he's coming in 22nd position. We don't see many of those out on track as well. I'll be honest, I haven't driven the GT4s yet. I really should get around to doing it so I can have an opinion on them.
Oh, they're an absolute blast. We would know that from the Monday GT4 Championship. That that I help broadcast with Nick. We actually had a wet race at Zandvoort with the GT4s, and that was absolutely incredible to watch, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. The Ginetta, I mean, just kind of being the underdog in the class. Actually switching over to Svensson driving the Alpine, kind of the other, kind of the small fry in the class. The few drivers that have taken the Alpine and the Ginetta out onto the tracks here have kind of tried to learn like their quirkiness. Like, they can be quick and nimble around the bigger cars in the class, but I mean, finding the pace is really just a big part of the strategy. The Ginetta just tops out on any course that has a long enough straight to push it to their red line, which is just a huge cap on the Ginetta's overall ability in this class. But I mean, we've seen some amazing things happen off those cars. But yeah, the GT4 class has been a lot of fun to watch, and the cars have a lot of personality.
Yeah, as we ride on bottom with Svensson as he loses the car a little bit, we've got some GT3s in the mix here, which is a little bit of fun there. And yeah, it's like I said in round one, you've got to have respect on both sides. It takes two to tango. And is that Mr. Takamaki going through there in the Lambo?
It was, yes, it was Mr.
It was.
Takamaki.
So that's kind of step, because the Takamaki train, whoop, whoop, which has been going on for a little while, is now broken up, unfortunately, because the GT4s, I'm sure the GT3 drivers will say the GT4 has gone in the way, and the GT4 driver will say there wasn't really much I can do. I agree with.
I was just about to say, Paul, I think the likes of Hartkemper will be thinking that right about now, because Mikael Sundström just got past the Audi because Hartkemper couldn't find a way past the Alpine of Svensson. So, yeah, I think Hartkemper might be wanting a couple of words with that Alpine after the race, but he will have the inside line coming into Cheetah, and that is not a corner you usually overtake on, especially not in the wet. But incredible commitment there from Hartkemper to get past the big BMW of Sundström, especially through a corner that tight.
Yeah, Hartkemper has just shown incredible pace over Sundström, and Sundstrom's been fighting for it, but just that Audi can just rip past it like it's not even moving in these conditions. So that's something Hartkemper's holding on to. Coming into turn one here, Sundström kind of getting back in line, waiting for another little mistake or something from Hartkemper. But I mean, if you could just take it back like that without much effort, I mean, like that's just going to be holding Sundström back currently.
Yeah, it's a great bit of battle, and that's the thing, is like the element of multi-class. The GT4s can get a little bit in the way, as I can see that Mr. Parker up in the GT4s has got quite a bit of gap over second man Kitahili, so he's just having a steady race, and he's making sure the GT3s get past without any bother to not cost him any time. And where the back markers are caught, obviously there's a little bit of luck involved, isn't there? Because if it's in the tight twisty section, the GT3s just have to wait a little bit. Ideally, you want to be trying to make that overtake down one of the straights, and using that extra power in the engine in the hope the GT4s will just ease off just a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier for the overtaking car to get past.
So Marco Ripper has been on the move. The 666 Mercedes catching up to the likes of Harry Conway. Harry Conway benefiting from the lap 1 chaos that we saw early on in the race. And of course, it's his turn to defend it. Oh, in fact, we've just received an update from the steward's office. Mooney, who had already received a 5-second penalty from the stewards for an aggressive overtake, has now received an additional 15 seconds onto his 5-second penalty. And as I have a look at the steward's report, I've got the piece of paper right here from Mr. Jake Boswell. He's the head steward for tonight. It says car 11, 15-second time penalty for taking out car 41. And car 41 is the 720S of Ulrich, all the way down in 14th place. Now, of course, Mooney is behind Ulrich, but only because he served his mandatory pit stop. So obviously the steward's hoping that 15-second penalty will attempt to overturn the takeout that obviously Mooney had performed in their eyes on the 41 McLaren.
Yeah. That's quite a hefty penalty there that the stewards have dished out. I'm interested to see how this is going to work out with particularly with Mr. Lebrec again after his kind of comeback last week, and he's, as we've alluded to, some of the drivers have got caught up in the mess in the first lap, have taken their mandatory pit. They're going to be hoping that it stays relatively wet, otherwise they're going to have to pit twice during this race if it dries up too much, because those wets won't obviously last the duration. Because you can see in 30 minutes time the rain is going to really ease off, and that still leaves us a bit of time as we look at Marco Ripper, who just gets a little bit of a fishtail there into the final corner as he continues to hunt down Harry Conway in the number 28 Porsche as they cross the start-finish line to begin another lap.
Yeah, these two drivers having incredible pace on each other, but Ripper looking to try to grab some time off of Harry Conway, but Harry Conway has been holding true in that Porsche of his. Actually, this is going to be Ripper going in up the inside. Harry Conway went a little bit wide there, so they're going to be coming swinging into barbecue here. Going to get back in line, and Ripper's going to let that one slide. But I mean, it looks like he's actually getting a bit of pace on Conway ahead of him. And we'll see how that shakes out in Sector 2 here. Trying to grab the outside line and get a bit of a swing here, and Conway is actually gonna got a ton of pace out of that corner just to get away from Ripper. So I mean, like, this is a really awesome back and forth here. Both of them finding pace in different sectors of the track. And this is what makes a great lap-to-lap battle here between these two drivers. Conway trying to pull away here, and looks like Ripper's actually lost a bit of ground, is going to be hoping for something here. Coming into the next corner, is going to swing wide again, is actually going to get side by side, and Conway's going to have to pull ahead a little bit, and Ripper just not having the room to get that giant Mercedes around that Porsche. So Conway doing a lot of great defensive driving here. Is going to be swinging in, and looks like Ripper's just going to kind of keep holding that wide line and try to do a bit of a cut here. But Conway just holding onto that defensive line and staying true and keeping Ripper at bay.
So I'd like to point out that Mr. Yardier, who was coming out in P2, has fallen back to P4. He's had a couple of spins and a couple of offs by the looks of things. As Mr. Ripper decides he's had enough of chasing Mr. Conway, and he enters the pits. So currently we've got Ibrahimi leading the way after 16 laps, with Frederic in second and Vandervelde rounding out your top three.
And as you'd alluded to earlier, Paul, the weather is going to get lighter over the course of the race. Light rain in the next 30 minutes, roughly, give or take. It's obviously not exact time frame, it's kind of an estimate to give you, but we will be seeing light rain at some point during, towards the end of the race. I don't think it'll get dry, definitely not. It would have to stop raining fairly soon, I think, for us to get a dry track towards the end of the race, but it could get a bit touch and go with some of the wet tyres if it does start to dry out fairly quickly here. If we do get the rain lightening up, very, very quickly, and such, it could provide something really, really interesting for the guys that have pitted very early, the likes of Mooney, Ripper, Ismail Lebrec, Googlia and Zeman. Of course, they pitted, they've either pitted now or they pitted earlier on towards the start of the race. So, will it pay off towards the end of the race? It's going to be interesting to find out. Of course, Ismail Lebrec pulled off a brilliant strategy at Misano, and of course hasn't had a great start to his race, got caught up in an incident on the first lap, and he's having to fight his way back up through the field. But I have to say, considering he was all the way down in 29th after the first lap, he's up to 14th, mandatory pit stop served, a couple of people in front have penalties. He might be in a Lamborghini in the wet, but he's doing well here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, finding that pace and really just playing to the course and the conditions with that mandatory stop. I mean, that adds that layer of strategy, and the drivers are seeing that the rain might be letting up. So, like, that's another dynamic that they have to be thinking about. We've been following Sundstrom follow on the back of Takamaki this entire lap. And Takamaki just being forced into that defensive line, just fighting for positions in that 43 Lamborghini, and even if the Lamborghini is struggling in the wet, I mean, and being forced to play defensively, not doing too bad for themselves. Currently in 7th position, still the 3 in this current train all need to take their mandatory stops still, but with 14 minutes to go, I mean, like, that could really shake up to however their strategy is going to go. I mean, at this point in the race, I don't think you want to be worrying about an extra pit stop to try to switch off a pair of tires, and you're just kind of hoping that it survives the conditions, as the rain's not going to completely let up at all. Even if it changes and lightens up a bit, it's just, you know, might not be worth the time if they're fighting for these positions.
Yeah, I think it's probably not going to dry up too much. If you look at the track temperature, it is only currently 14 degrees. It has gone up a little bit. Actually, it's gone up to 15 now. Okay, so it's warming up a little bit. So I guess some of that is obviously going to depend on the air temperature and how warm that track is, and it's going to help with drying out. So as we look at Mr. Sundstrom in the only BMW out on track, still to make his mandatory pit stop, but he's chasing down Takamaki. He's part of the Takamaki train. Whoop. That has developed, and he's doing well to hold these guys back. He has been doing that for majority of the race. He must be getting a little bit bored of, you know, having people literally sniffing down him, but he's managing to hold it out, and he's not cracking under that pressure either. That's impressive as well. That amount of, because if that was me, I'd be off, because I'd be more worried about what the guy behind me is doing than what. I can just see that a penalty's been handed to another car there. I just saw it prop up on screen. So let's take a look in the steward's room. Car 86 got a 5-second penalty for taking out car number 3.
Yep.
So who's car number 3?
Car 86 will be Anthony Guardo, one of the GT3s that is still yet to make his way past the GT4 field for position. So he's obviously struggling a lot. Must have damage on that car, have at least pitted for a while now for damage. So Anthony Guardo has obviously picked up a 5-second penalty. That won't help his race any. He's the second to last driver at the moment in the field, so of course, you know, not doing too well. We have actually got a DNF. I'm not entirely sure who that... Oh, it is Brock McDude, and he is one of the GT4 drivers we have for tonight, so really unfortunate to see him retire, as we also see a penalty for Lubomir Zeman. The number 21 Aston Martin has picked up a 5-second penalty. And that will be for taking out car 43. Now, we did see this earlier on in the race. Zeman went into the back of Takamaki's Lamborghini, and Takamaki lost positions. Zeman then slowed down and gave the place back. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well, you know, why has he been given a penalty? He made a mistake, he gave the place back, and, you know, all's well and good in the world. Well, the reality of it is that Zeman lost about Takamaki, lost about 3 places from that contact, and, you know, as much as Zeman might have slowed down and lost those places as well, doesn't really give those places back to Takamaki. So the stewards have said, look, you were a good sport, but you were still at fault, and you still caused someone to lose positions, potentially also causing damage to Takamaki's car. And the lightest penalty they can give is a 5-second penalty, and that's what they have judged. And in fact, car 21 has also been given an additional 15 seconds.
And sorry, Sundstrom is off and into the barrier. He lost it a little bit there with 38 minutes to go, and he's, I think he's just DNF as well, so I think he might have just gone back to the pits. But as he goes into the right hand at the bottom of the hill, he comes out of it okay, touches the curb, and then into the right hander, just loses the rear end, just goes away from him, and off he goes.
Oh, that's a massive shame for Sundstrom. I thought maybe he'd hit Cheetah, the curb on the inside. He has continued on, actually. He has.
He looked like he disappeared. That might have been because of the replay, potentially. He just sort of just disappeared there. But
yeah, so Sundstrom continues on. Just to quickly give a finishing point to that, car 21, Lubomir Zeman, has also received another 15 seconds added on to his 5-second penalty. That's for taking out car 110. Now, that is Hartkamper. And Hartkamper all the way down in 16th place. He has served his mandatory pit stop. So that was obviously an accident we didn't see on stream, but nonetheless the stewards have caught it and they have judged it that they have seen Zeman at fault. And
We are halfway through.
let's have a look at the GT4 field, shall we? Because we haven't had much to show with the GT4 field today, unlike Sane.
No, we haven't. But I just want to draw your attention to Yardier all over the back of the man in third position at the moment, Van der Velde. He's gained. He sort of had. I think he had a few minutes where he wasn't at his best, and he's probably said to himself, "I need to concentrate." And he's now starting to hunt him down a little bit. He was 300 a second behind, but I think he just lost a little bit more time. This is the closest battle at the moment towards the top end of the race.
Yeah, so a quick update, like I said, on the GT4 field. James Parker does still lead the way, 5.3 seconds clear of Bruno Cadilli. Bruno Cadilli, though, 5.3 second gap. It was bigger than that, if I remember.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was up to 8.
Yeah, it was about 8 seconds, yeah. So Bruno Cadilli has started to close that gap down. Billy Octane and Valentin Barrier are then the other two cars behind. They've got 2 seconds between them, though. Actually, no, it's less than that. It's 1.3. It was 1.8 at my last check, and Joe McCauley as well. Jardier having a look at Tinko van der Velde, but not quite finding any room. Joe McCauley in the Mercedes, who qualified very, very well. He's unfortunately not doing so well. 5th in the GT4 class. Eric Engman in 6th. And then it's Geraint Remmers, Joachim Svensson, who round out the GT4 field.
Yeah, the GT4 field hasn't really had a lot of battles that we've seen this evening, unlike the first round. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they kind of have the smaller packs, so there's they have a lot more room to move about on the course. I mean, that's going to lead to fewer battles happening directly and during the course of the race. But I mean, James Parker really trying to run away with the GT4 win, as he was able to do last week as well. But I mean, he might be seeing a little bit of pressure coming in from Cadilli in the 788 Aston, who is quickly closing that gap. So I mean, we might be seeing a little bit of a battle unfolding in the last 35 minutes here of the race here. Still on board with Jardier, who is still looking for some ground here. Looks like he was kind of actually he's gone. Oh no, sorry, that's the Porsche. I'm sorry. That's gonna be Van der Velde, who just seems to be lost it going up the hill there. Was able to make a pretty good recovery. Actually, we're gonna catch an instant replay of that. But again, these treacherous conditions, just any little thing goes wrong, and you don't want to get caught up, but it happens to everybody. So you'll see coming through these corners, possibly just grabbing a little bit of grass, and that's all it takes. Throws that Porsche around, and they completely spin it with Jardier flying past. Yeah, I mean, just the conditions are not to be messed with, especially in these GT cars.
He took a little bit too much speed, didn't he, into that section, and unfortunately that meant he run wide, and very lucky not to collect Jardier as well and ruin his race, who's now up into third position because of that mistake from Van der Velde. So the rest of the GT3 pack up ahead is quite gapped, quite a bit now. So there aren't any close battles. And we can see, obviously, guys, that the rain is going to stop in 30 minutes. So that doesn't really leave a lot of time for the end of the race. And as you say, Ryan, it's a prediction. It's not necessarily going to be bang on 30 minutes.
No, it's always an estimate with the amount of time that it's going to be for the forecast, and as you can actually see, we are going to be heading into light rain within the next 10 minutes at some point, and of course then it's just expected to be quite grey and cloudy in the sky, but with no rain towards the end of the race, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The track probably not going to dry out enough for people to consider taking a tyre swap for dries at the end. But, well, who knows, because, you know, if the track does start to drain fairly quickly, we could see a couple of people pushing it a bit too much on the wets, and of course these tyres, the wet tyres, they will overheat very, very quickly once the track starts to dry, and now that the rain is going to let up, a dry line will start showing here.
Yeah, indeed, and you know, this track has got a lot of hills in it, so the rain will move and turn away and the draining. And apparently there was a video from Aris recently. It was talking about the drainage at Kyalami, how seriously and how realistic they try to make it. So very, very interesting. I mean, the track temperature is still at 15 degrees. As we look at Velatin Barrier in the Ginetta being lapped by one of the Bentleys. I do love that skin on that Bentley. I've got to say, I do like the two colours. Looks really, really strong. And up ahead, we've got Mr. Octane in car 333, also in the GT3s. And Mr. Barrett is trying to hunt him down. He's going to be hoping that the GT3 here causes him a little bit of grief and slows him down and allows him to catch up just a tiny bit.
Yeah, Billy Octane's been having a bit of a quiet race, but has been getting a surprising amount of screen time just because that bright teal front on that Camaro just really shows up against the gray backdrop that is the rainy Kyalami course. But yeah, I mean, it's again, it's the GT3 cars have to get around the GT4 cars, and now that they can see a little better, the spray is becoming less and less severe as the rain lets up a little bit. Course is drying up just a little. You know, the GT3s can get by a little safer. But yeah, Billy Octane holding on to 20th position overall, and this would be third for the GT4 class. And we'll see how that shakes out for Billy Octane, holding on to third position, still holding on to that podium for GT4s.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the timing board, and Yardio is definitely starting to find some pace this later part of the race, and so is Mr. Conway as well. He's just a little bit further back in sixth position. So the conditions, you're starting to see a little bit more green times now on the timing board, and people are starting to find a little bit of pace as the track, you know, might not still look pretty wet, but it was wetter than that 10 minutes ago. So we are still, and as you say, the conditions, Nick, are starting to really, you know, improve. The visibility will improve. And as Ryan has alluded to, these wets do like to overheat pretty quickly. So do they take a gamble? Does somebody go in early and put the slicks on in the hope that it really dries out and they'll start setting much quicker laps? But we've still only got 29 minutes of the race to go. So it would be a huge gamble for anybody. And if we look at the top 9, all of those cars are yet to pit. So the cars behind, like Mooney, Ripper, Lebrec, and so forth, have all done their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, they're not going to be they're not going to be committing to a second pit stop unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
and
of course.
light rain in 10 minutes, so conditions ever improving here. And yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons why we've seen some of these guys stick it out so long in the hopes that maybe it does dry up, and obviously they can switch to the dry tyres and see out the end of the race. Not entirely sure. I mean, I wouldn't put dries on right now, definitely not. It is still way too wet on the circuit. It wouldn't be until the light rain arrives that I would even start to consider dries, and even then, once the light rain arrives, you know, you want to wait for a solid dry line to start showing out on the circuit, and you also want to give it a bit of time for the water to start draining as well. One thing we can see here, Probst in the number 1 Porsche is currently chasing down Takamaki, and there's some serious front-end damage on that Porsche. And he's definitely been in the wars again today at Kyalami, was in the wars at Misano as well. Did still salvage a podium. Don't know if that's going to be possible here today with that 15-second time penalty, but even so, struggling to get past Takamaki here.
I suppose sorry, go on.
Yeah, Takamaki just shown incredible defensive fighting in this race. That Lamborghini just trying to hold true in these wet conditions, but you know, maybe not be fighting for a podium, but Takamaki is going to stay solidly in the top 10 unless something horrible happens. But yeah, props looking at the back there with Sunstrom dropping back as far as he has, actually. He slipped up a couple more times after the one that we caught on screen and then pulled in for his pit stop. So this is Takamaki now having a new target at his back and is going to just be holding on to that defensive line, maybe not fighting for 80 positions ahead of him. But as they drop back and take those pit stops, we'll be seeing how that goes. Props trying to swing out wide and thought better of it coming into Crawthorne, as that could have been very dangerous if he actually went ahead with that. But sticking on the back of Takamaki here, trying to find some ground here coming in through Barbecue. But it's just going to be a bit of a slingshot move for him. We're actually going to ride on board with Props here, looking at the back of Takamaki, which has been a sight for him for the last several laps here, trying to find an opening, which Kyalami is not very forgiving for finding those openings usually. So this is going to be very tricky to pull off in the wet conditions and just be finding that kind of ground as they get into Sector 3 here.
Yeah, I'd just like to draw your attention that Zeman has been given a drive-through penalty. That's car number 21 for taking out car number 19, which is Joe McCauley. So this was 15 seconds, the USA, but increased due to already receiving 20 seconds in time penalties.
Oh dear. Well, when it's not your day, it's not your day, and sometimes you've just gotta live with it and put it behind him. It's not been a great race for the 21 Aston Martin, and
No.
he'll obviously be hoping for a much better race next week. And yeah, I think that's going to be the same for a lot of these guys. You know, maybe hadn't entirely prepared for the rain here today. They've been caught a bit off guard, and they'll be looking forward to next week's race already. They'll just look to finish out the race, pick up whatever points they can get. And yeah, I think for a lot of these guys today, further down in the GT3 class, this has just been a bit more of a damage limitation race more than anything. But I tell you what, damage limitation for Ismail Lebrec. He sits second in the championship right now after that incredible strategy at Misano. He was 29th at the end of the first lap. He's worked his way back up into the top 10, and the two people in front of him, both with time penalties. So he should effectively be running within the top 8 towards the end of this race. And I have to say, in the Lamborghini in these conditions, that's a great recovery.
Yeah, but I mean, even with Prosper's got a time penalty, he still has to do his mandatory pit as well. So that's going to be a position gain on track as well as the time penalty, because it sometimes, even when a driver does have a time penalty, they don't want to let you past, and he has Mooney ahead of him with a 20-second penalty, and he'll still want to race him rather than let him pass. And Takamaki in 7th as well is also yet to pit, as we now switch to Valentin Barrier. For the virtual driver by TX3 car in the Ginetta, chasing down Billy Octane in the Chevrolet car number 333. And whilst we're watching the onboard here of Mr. Barrier, I'd like to point out that Mr. Parker has gapped the second place man back up to nearly 9 seconds. So that gap that had closed down, unfortunately, is gone back up once again, as Barrier is looking on the inside now as they come to the right-hander. Slightly uphill here. Who's got the better run? It looks like the Ginetta has. He's all over the back of Mr. Octane. He's just having a little bit of a sniff as we go out onto the next straight and coming into the long right-hander. This is my favourite section of the track, into the right-hander. You can see the Ginetta's taking a slightly tighter line there. Seems to have a little bit more grip at this part of the race with 23 minutes to go. And there's also blue flag out as well for the car behind them. That's Mr. Conway, I believe, in that livery. And nicely, Mr. Octane let him go. Oh, he had to hit the brakes there. And yeah, that could have been a little bit of an adventure. But unfortunately, that means that Mr. Barrier has to give up that chase on Mr. Octane. And that pass there by Conway is a little bit easier on Octane. So he doesn't really lose too much time there. So hopefully the Ginetta will be able to get onto the back of the Chevrolet once again and start his attack.
Well, one of the reasons that overtake for Conway was probably so easy is because, actually, his Billy Octane goes a bit wide. One of the reasons that overtake would have been made so much easier is because obviously you could tell from the liveries that...
oh, they're in the same team, aren't they? How did I not clock that? Oh,
they are
right.
both part of the Triple R team that did race in the 6 Hours of Barcelona alongside Mikael Sundstrom, actually, who is 14th at the moment in the GT3 class. So, yeah, Triple R, they have a GT3 and a GT4 entry in here, and of course, as Harry Conway would have been coming past Valentin Barrier, he probably would have been saying to Billy Octane, you know, maybe I'll be a bit slow on my exit, hold up the Ginetta a bit, give you a bit of a helping hand. I'm not saying that's what did happen, I'm just saying it's entirely possible that it could have happened, and Billy Octane will continue on his way, and actually he's got his other teammate behind him now, of Mikael Sundstrom in the BMW. He's not as keen to let the BMW pass though, but he will go wide on Barbecue, and he will allow the 899 past, and Sundstrom will probably be thinking, well, you could have done that a bit earlier, Billy.
Yeah, of course. You know, and Barrier in the Ginetta there, I think just got a little bit shooken up, just the positioning of Conway as he came through for the overtake was just really inconvenient and just really just bad timing. Barrier's just fighting for position, trying to get on the back of Billy Octane, and then just to get pushed away like that from Conway has got to be frustrating. And then but then both of them made errors in Sector 3, so this is going to be Barrier coming in for a huge jump on the inside, going to jump on the outside again, get ahead of Octane, but this is going to be a dangerous push really late on the brakes, and Octane's going to take the inside corner. But the Ginetta seems to kind of have the slingshot motion.
They've got a McLaren behind them as well, just to add to their woes.
Yes, so they don't want to get in the way of the GT3 car, but I mean, they got to be ripping into the next corner here. You know, and he don't want to have another GT3 car get in the way of this fight. This is my position, and Barrier's going to take it. So it's just going to be about waiting for both of them. Actually, going to go to a two-wheeling all the way through here into the last corner, be fighting for pace, but the Ginetta just seems to be losing out just a little bit to that Camaro that can rip onto the main straight and just maintain that momentum a lot more, as the McLaren on the left there is going to go for the pass and hopefully get out of the way before they get up to Crawthorne, which looks like they're going to be tucking in right in front of them and affecting both of them at least.
So I think that's Ulrich, isn't it, in the McLaren there? To be fair to him, he did wait some patience, and as Octane loses the rear end a little bit, gives the Ginetta a little bit of a sniff, but again manages the gap. But that Ginetta in some of those corners just has a bit more grip, just has the power. As now they take on to the next straight after the left-hander, and again the Ginetta goes into the slipstream of the Camaro, but is unable to make a move. And I just think that Camaro just has a bit more power. And again, the Camaro goes wide, and now the Ginetta's on the right-hand side of the Gary's left-hander. Octane's got the inside. Are they going to make contact? Yes, there are. Fortunately, there is a bit of a tap there on from Octane onto Barrier. We go to the replay. So Octane's on the inside, and I think, to be honest with you, the Ginetta there, he's going for a position on the track which wasn't available. Octane had the inside. You could argue the Ginetta was ahead, but, you know, he had the race in line, and he basically, for me, just turned in on him.
Well, the stewards will look into every incident that happens around the circuit. So, of course, if either driver is, given the verdict that they are at fault, I think if Barrier's at fault for that one, then I don't think anything will be done, probably judged as a racing incident. But if Billy Octane is judged to be at fault, then of course they will penalise him however they can, or however they deem necessary. Of course, they have all the angles that we don't have available to us in the short space of time that we can review these replays. Looking up the field a bit now though, Marco Ripper closing in on Probst at the moment. Of course, Probst has a penalty and is still yet to serve his mandatory pit stop, so the 666 Mercedes car is going to look to make this overtake fairly easily. And yeah, the Porsche of Probst not really looking to hold this guy up. He's got no point to do so. He's already served his pit stop. You would already be ahead of him theoretically because of the penalty. No point holding up your race and his. It will only do damage to the both of you. And of course, Mercedes now on its way as it is in the top 10. Now going to start to try and chase down Lebrec in 9th.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a few positions up since we were watching the battle with the GT4s, the Breck, in the Lambo. I'm guessing that's because of some of the cars ahead still had to pit. But Takamaki, currently in 7th, in also in the Lamborghini, is yet to pit. But I've been watching Yardier, the timing to Frederich in 2nd, and he is gaining on him slowly but surely. He was about 2.5 seconds. So he may have a battle towards in this race for 2nd position. The top 5 still yet to do the mandatory pit stop, and 10 minutes it should stop raining. So could be good timing for those leaders, to be honest, if they're on the wets. If it does dry when they pit, then they can make the gamble and make the switch to slicks, if they so choose, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's expected to stop raining in around about 10 minutes' time. You can already start to see the dry line forming now on the track, and you can see, there you go, great shot
there we go.
The dry line starting to form up, of course, and as the rain has got lighter and lighter, that line will become ever more prominent on the circuit. And of course, as the water starts to drain as well, that dry line will become so important, because, you know, as your wets will start to overheat on the dry line, they, you know, you'll be looking to go out to the sides of the circuit to try and cool down your tyres on whatever water is left on the circuit. But of course, with a lot of elevation change here at Kyalami, I would expect the drainage to be fairly good around here. So, yeah, I kind of think that this might be a bit touch and go for slicks here. We're not entirely sure what the outcome of this might be. And, well, if the track does dry a bit sooner than a lot of these drivers are expecting, we very much could see a dash into the pit lane for tyre swaps for quite a few of these guys, which could play a big part for the guys that haven't taken tyres. Obviously, they might gamble staying out on the wets and see if it can hold off. It's going to be very interesting in the last 16 minutes here.
Yeah, I mean, all of those strategies really coming to fruition in the last little bit here. You know, all of them, I would wager kind of just waiting it out and seeing, like, maybe it might get light enough for the slicks, and let's see if we can grab it for the last 15 minutes and grab those faster lap times, as we see Hanzik fighting his way through Sector 1 here. But, I mean, like, there's a lot of strategy there. There's a lot of dynamic thinking that they have to do kind of on the fly. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But I mean, we're still on board with Hanzik, who's still gaining quite a bit of ground on Frederich, up ahead of him in that green and blue Bentley.
He could set the fastest lap of the race last time round, so he's definitely finding some pace right now.
Yeah, definitely fighting for that dry line, and Hanzik using that to its full advantage, trying to gain on this Bentley up ahead of him. Not happy about losing that position earlier in the race in that battle with Ibrahimi. Actually, the Bentley ahead of him went into that corner a little slow, so this is going to be Jardier gaining even more ground coming into the Crocodiles. So I would not be surprised if we see an overtake happening pretty soon here, fighting his way back into second position, and then on his way to the back of Ibrahimi, who is currently on the main straight. So I mean, like, he's got a lot of ground to gain to try to catch up with Ibrahimi, so it's going to be a lot about the pit strategies and seeing what they do with these last 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's about lining up that pit box,
lane,
isn't it? I don't know about you, but I struggle with lining up the pit box in this game, so that's where I lose time.
I say it's a good point you make, actually, there, Paul, because there are some people that have had some. We saw, especially in some of the endurance races we've run, that people do struggle sometimes with the pit box. And you can gain, you know, a couple of seconds by getting your marks correctly, and if someone else doesn't, it's obviously time that they've wasted. Frederich is into the pit lane, and in fact, he's already on his way back out. So I would wager he hasn't gone for dry tyres. We'll actually be able to confirm it as his car comes past us now. Nope, there is no Pirelli stickers on the sides of those tyres, and that will indicate that he is still very much on wets, of course. Remember that the dry tyres have the Pirelli logo on the side of them, and the wets do not, so Frederich has decided that he doesn't think it will get dry enough for slicks. He's made his gamble, and, well, he'll have to see if it pays off in the next 13 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Yardier, trying to catch Ibrahimi. I mean, he's got 13 seconds. I mean, on the timer, I think it's the gap was about 15 seconds. So he'd be looking to do a second a lap and more to make that. But 17 seconds now. So yeah, I mean, he's lost a little bit of time for some reason. But yeah, Ibrahimi setting the pace. But I mean, he's only hundreds of a second off the fastest lap of Yardier as well. So they're both finding some pace. They're the only guys that have been in the 147s.
So, I don't mean to interrupt you there,
Yep.
but Sami Brahimi has had a bit of an accident coming into the pit lane. And we're going to see a replay here. So here he comes. He's going to go and dive off towards the pit entry. And I wonder here, has he had a bit of a problem coming in? Ooh, very, very slow. And he spun in the pit lane. Just a bit too much acceleration. And of course, that's going to cost him a heap of time on track while he's trying to get the car straight and get it back pointing in the correct direction. He is coming out of the pit lane now. In fact, so he has served his mandatory stop. We're going to have a look at his car and we'll see what he has on the side of his tyres. I would judge he's not got dries on. No, he does not. But yeah, a bit of a scary moment there.
If you were Yardier now, do you just keep going until the very last moment that you can pit? Maybe second to last lap. Do you just keep going and hopefully find pace? I mean, how many seconds do we think he lost there in the pits? 5, 6, 8?
Oh, maybe more than that, I think. What do you think, Nick?
So Yardier was back about 15 seconds when Ibrahimi pulled into the pit lane. And his current split on him is definitely quite a bit smaller. I mean, we're looking still past 10 seconds of a split here. So I mean, Jardier's got a lot of ground to make up, and still has to take his mandatory pit stop. So I mean, this is a huge gamble now. So if Yardier wants to get the win here, it's going to be him holding on to some incredible pace, and when he pulls into that pit lane, being incredibly fast. In the pit lane and fighting for to close that gap down. I mean, just with only 10 minutes to go, I mean, is it even worth it to grab the tires at this point? Just do a stop and go, and just get back on the track. I mean, to gain those positions.
And obviously keep trying to find, what Ryan, said earlier on is trying to find that wet part of the track to keep these tires cool, because they are going to overheat as the dry line starts to really, with 10 minutes to go. I think it's going to be close once he's pitted. I think they're going to be like seconds apart. I still think Ibrahimi's going to have the lead, but again, Yardier, it depends on the traffic. The Yardier's getting them, and Ibrahimi at the moment, what traffic is he having to put up with out there? So I might just go and have a look at him on my local game and just keep an eye and see what kind of trouble he's having, if any. And this could be a great finish to the race.
So Yardier does lead the race. Harry Conway has now decided that he's going to pit, and whilst we have the time, we will take a look and see what Harry Conway's going to do. A bit of damage on the front of his car as well, so he's definitely had a few bumps and scrapes with some other cars all wall out on track, but obviously it hasn't really affected his pace too much. Harry Conway been going very, very well here. Stopped in his pit box. Oh, in fact, Harry Conway maybe not entirely in the pit box, having to reverse there to get back into his pit stall, and I think he has just served it yet. So no slick tyres for Harry Conway. He's going to stay on the wets until the end of the race, losing quite a bit of time there, not entirely being in his pit stall, so that will cost him significantly. But the big battle to keep an eye on at the moment is Yardier. What is the gap going to be once Yardier pits and comes back out? Sami Brahimi should still be leading, but the big question mark is going to be how big is the gap?
It's tight. Ibrahimi's not finding any pace at the moment. He's 5 seconds down on his best lap. Last time around, Yardier did a 148 and Sami Brahimi did a 153. So this is really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah, the pit start is really shaken out here. Yardier holding on to that position, but we're going to see where that split time is. I mean, with where Jardia is out on the track. Ibrahimi a bit behind him, but with Jardia still having to take that pit stop, I mean, I'd wager Jardia's got maybe 5 or 6 seconds to play with here to try to hold on to this.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, the last lap round was a 1:48 for Jardia, and Ibrahimi's found a bit more pace with a 1:38.3, and they're both hundreds of a tenth of a second up on their best at the moment. So they're both pushing really, really hard right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would wager that when Jardia comes out of the pits, I mean, they're going to be almost side by side coming out of the lane. I mean, so like coming into the last couple of laps, it's going to be a battle.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, again, the pit box is how well, you know, because it is misleading in ACC. You know, the pit board's there, so you think you've got to park up, and then it just shoves you back every time. And I think I've only ever found the pit box perfectly once. So yeah, and it's when he makes that stop as well, and how dry the track is, and you know, I can't imagine he'll take tyres because he'll lose too much time. So he's going to have to go back in, splash and dash, and just literally back out again, and just get that mandatory pit stop, and hopefully he's got the fuel on board to do it.
Just under 7 minutes remain of this race. The rain has stopped. It stopped about a minute ago. In fact, it was as we hit the 8-minute mark left of the race. Of course, the rain now no longer falling, and you know, the track is going to start to dry out. 8 minutes left. Like he said, I don't see it drying out enough for the dry tyres to be really worth considering. But this is the battle to focus on at the moment. What is it going to be?
Well, I mean, another twist. Ibrahimi has now found some more pace. He's now set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:47.6 by the looks of it, looking down the timings, which is a second, you know, literally a tenth of a second quicker than what Jardia has set. So, and he's a tenth of a second up on this lap as well. So it's not over until the fat lady sings.
Yeah, Ibrahimi finding incredible pace with that change out of the pits. I mean, I think Hanzik is going to go for a very late pit and just kind of duke it out on the last lap or two as we come into the last 5 minutes here. Jardia holding on to what pace he can. That line is very dry across the track now, as we actually gained just a little bit of temp on the track as well. And I think we're going to see some faster laps coming into the last 5 minutes, where Jardia is just fighting for time and trying to make up as much ground as he can if he's going to pull into the pits. You know, when he does make that move, he's got to make it basically perfectly. I would wager just a splash and dash, and you know, not miss the pit box by anything, because even a second or two is going to make or break the race at this point.
You can actually see there, it was a bit hard to catch, but Jardia on the straight actually pulled over right towards the right-hand side of the track. And the reason he would have been doing that is to get off the dry line, because the dry line at the moment doesn't go, well, it goes kind of towards the middle of the track because of turn 1 and the kink. So Jardia going over to one side of the track, trying to cool the tyres already here, so a bit of a sign that, like Nick said, the track temperature is starting to warm up slightly. Don't think it's going to be enough to obviously warrant any emergencies here, but yeah, all of these guys improving on their lap times now as the rain, you know, has indeed stopped, and this is going to be very, very close as we get to the end of the race. Jardia 3/10 up on Samir Ibrahimi on the previous lap. It's kind of jumping up and down between these two. About 22 seconds is the consistent gap between these guys. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Jardia does pit. James Parker and Valentin Barrier in the GT4 class, they're yet to pit as well. And Lemke in the Bentley 379 is still yet to pit in the GT3, as well as Jaroslav Hanzik.
Yeah, that's a good spot. And also Lemke in the, I don't know if you said his name, apologies, in the Bentley 379 is also yet to pit. He's currently in 4th position, so that would put Van der Velde probably up into 5th, and maybe, well, Mooney. Here we go. Jardia's entering the pits. Into the entrance he goes. No spin as we watch him. Where is Ibrahimi? Ibrahimi is coming
out of the Crocodiles.
Crocodiles, here we go. I don't think it's even going to be a contest, is it?
Oh, I mean, that's going to be a nail biter. I mean, Hanslik managing to get through the pit lane pretty cleanly, but is going to make that stop. He's back down off the track, pulling out of the pit stop.
Oh, this is tight. This is tight.
And that's Ibrahimi flying by right there, pulling out of the lane. 3 minutes to go. This is a battle for first position. Let's go.
This is unbelievable. This is what you like to say. This is why mixed conditions are just amazing. Track temperature has slightly increased. We've got just over 2.5 minutes to go. This is the battle for the lead.
Not entirely sure if Giardia will have the time to do it though. 2.5 minutes remaining means that we are going to get this lap and one more for, well, the battle for the lead. Theoretically, the gap will be accurate now on the next timing. 3.2 seconds. Giardia's got to make up a heap of time. I don't really see it being possible unless Samir Brahimi can make a mistake. We did see him make a mistake coming in the pit lane, in fact, so it's not out of the question that he could make a mistake. But Samir Brahimi, at the moment, looking confident, looking good right now to pick up his second win of the season, to keep up a 100% win start to the season. And that'll set him up very, very nicely for the championship, especially knowing that Giardia did not race at the first round, and the second place Lamborghini of Lebrec has had to go through a fight back so far this race, but 7th place at the moment for Lebrec will still be a job well done.
And that's actually Giardia right there, lost almost a second coming down Mineshaft, so just had a really bad launch out of that corner coming into the Crocodiles, so that's a bit of a blow there. But I mean, hovering about that 3.6 split time coming into this lap. We'll see if this ticks over to be the final lap, and it will be. So now this is one lap. Giardia has just this lap and go around to gain that 3 seconds. I mean, again, a tough bill and gonna be a hard call, but I mean, anything is possible. This could be a very interesting last lap.
It could be, especially the GT4s don't do him any favors. So, but it's quite a gap to gain in you know, the last lap of a race, isn't it? It's a lot of time to be found. As we look, we are on board. We're on the Nissan car number 18, who's chasing down Hellman in the 24 Porsche, bright green livery there, and this is just a battle for pride, isn't it? This one.
Yeah, battle for 11th place at the moment. Still points on the table for the Porsche and the Nissan here as well, and they're going to be trying to see who can hold off, well, best of outside of the top 10. We can still see on the timing splits that Samir Brahimi 3.2 seconds, or practically 3.3, is most likely going to hold off Giardia. Ooh, Googlia getting all out of shape in the Nissan, and in fact he will go off, and that should seal the fate of the 12 Nissan to finish down in 12th place. But as we cut back to Samir Brahimi, it has been an incredible race. We started in thunderstorm-like conditions. It has come dry towards the end of the race. It hasn't come soon enough for an incredible finale that could have been forced to dry tyres. We just didn't have the time. But Samir Brahimi will make it 2 wins from 2 to start the season, dominant from the 49 Audi. And Jaroslav Honzik pushed him close towards the end, but some crucial mistakes obviously being the difference there. 2.8 seconds over the line. Friedrich will round out the podium with the Bentley. The 815 picking up a very nice podium here in the wet at Kyalami.
Yeah, Frederick kind of just slipping right into 3rd position there. You know, had a pretty reasonable race for himself, and just kept it clean and got himself the podium finish.
And Giardia setting the fastest lap of the race, I believe, in that and that last lap as well, with a 1:46.9. So even with that kind of pace, Ibrahimi was able to hold him off.
Yeah, I mean, an interesting bit there is looking at the final lap times. Giardia's last lap was a 1:46.9, and Ibrahimi was a 1:47.8. I mean, so Giardia had the pace. I mean, if they had a little bit more time there, that could have really shaken out to be a duel of the fates there going to the end, but just not quite enough time. And Ibrahimi even with that mistake in the pit lane, timing his pit just right and maintaining that pace to get the win today.
Well, I have to be honest, I've said it before, Ismail Lebrec, fantastic strategy at Misano, and he's done a fantastic fight back here at Kyalami as well, was last place after turn 3 on the first lap, has fought back in the wet, in the car that probably handles the worst out of all the picks he could have had, and he has clawed it back to P6. And that will probably keep his title fight alive going into the next 4 races of the championship. In fact, no, it's the next 3 races, sorry. Only a 5-round calendar, so 3 races remaining of the championship. He's kept the title fight alive with a 6th place. And, well, has to be driver of the day for me. Of course, people will say I'm biased because I'm a Lamborghini fan, but 29th to 6th in those conditions in this car, absolutely incredible. But of course, the win goes to this car right here, the 49 Audi. Had a bit of a scare in the pit lane, but come good at the end. And of course, Samir Brahimi will be looking very, very good now come the championship.
I think he's pleased. Do you think he's pleased?
I would be.
It was, I mean, you know, the spin in the, you know, if you hadn't spun in the pits, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as close. And it just added a little bit of drama to the end of this race. And as Nick rightly said, you know, the amount of GT4s tonight, there wasn't as much battling as there was in the first round, and another tight track. And we didn't see too many coming together between the GT4s and the GT3s, if at all. And I thought that, again, the back markers were impeccable today.
Yeah, it's been a thoroughly enjoyable race. The changing conditions really, really did add a great dynamic to this race, and it was always exciting to know that the dry was coming. Maybe if it had come, you know, another 5-10 minutes earlier, we really would have seen a few people going for a gamble on staying out on wets, or going for a gamble to take the dry tyres. But we'll have to wait and see if one of the other races in the championship may potentially throw that up in the air for us. So, if you are thinking to yourself, well, I kind of enjoyed tonight's broadcast, it was pretty okay, well, you know, feel free to subscribe and leave a like. It was very fun to broadcast, in fact. And you know, if you're thinking I'd like to watch some more RCI stuff, well, don't you worry, because tomorrow evening at 7:30 PM BST, we're going to have the ICGT Sprint Silver Class live here on RCI TV, and the rookies will be live on RCI_racing on Twitch. I'll be covering the rookies with George Smith and Thomas Crabb, and then the pro class, the silver class, will be covered by the likes of Paul Jeffrey and Jesse Lee. And of course, that is, if that combination does not excite you for commentary, then I have no idea what will, because their commentary is incredible together, so do definitely stick around for that tomorrow evening. We do have some things coming up on the weekend. The Nürburgring Maserati Cup race that we have coming up this weekend, actually, it is, and that's going to be incredibly fun, those cars. No TC, no ABS for the Maseratis at the Nürburgring. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Other stuff that we do have coming up, we have a British GT3 event coming fairly soon, within the next week or so. And then, of course, we do have some more things in the pipeline, like a special Lamborghini event. And that's all I'll say on that right now, because I don't want to spoil too much. Other championships, well, on Monday, we'll see the return of the GT4 Championship, which has been so exciting. And then, well, we'll be back here in a week's time, in fact. And, in fact, where will we be in a week's time? I'm so terrible, I'm an admin for my own championship, and I can't remember the calendar.
Silverstone, is it not? Silverstone?
It is Silverstone, actually. It's going to be a midday start, so 1200 sim time, and that's going to be Silverstone next week. Following that up, in the following weeks, we'll have Zolder and Suzuka, 2 very interesting tracks, and I hope that we can get a few more GT4s in for those races as well. So, my name's been Ryan Gill, I've been joined by Paul Glover and Nick Setnick, all the way from the States. We have enjoyed giving you commentary for tonight's race. It has been absolutely sensational. Big thank you to the stewards for all their hard work today. Big thank you to the drivers for putting on an awesome show. And a big thanks to everyone else behind the scenes who makes this possible. With that out of the way, we hope to see you back tomorrow evening for the ICGT Sprint Championship Silver Split. And from me and the rest of RCI, have a good evening.